So many life-changing things can happen during your college career. For some, just the everyday responsibilities of waking up and heading to class without a parent's reminder, doing your own laundry, budgeting your money, or new tasks. Some may discover an academic major that leads them down a career path they have never had considered before. Most will meet people from different parts of the state, country, and fellow students and professors from all over the globe. And some will meet the person with whom they choose to spend the rest of their lives. Valentine's Day is celebrated on February 14th, and to recognize that occasion, we have a special Tales from the Creek episode that we like to call Love in the Creek. My name is Stan Cole, class of 1987, and this is our next installment of Tales from the Creek, where we visit with people who have made this place special over the years. I'm delighted to be joined today by two couples who met during their undergraduate careers, fell in love, married, and have built a life together. My guests are former Campbell Baseball player Scott Jackson, class of 98, and women's basketball standout Sara Moore Jackson, class of 2001. And in the second segment of this episode, we will visit with Tony Peacock, class of 96, and Ellen Price Peacock, class of 97. Welcome, Scott and Sara, to Tales from the Creek. Thanks for taking time to join us.
Glad to be here.
Well, let's start where it all began. How did you guys meet?
Yeah, I'll kind of go with that. Our youngest son had a project for school, and we were just talking about this the other day. But there was right before school started, I guess it was the summer of '97. I was a senior, Sara was a freshman, and we had a ice cream social out there at the soccer field. So that's where I met her. And then, obviously our circles connected through FCA and being athletes and all the things that come with being in the Creek in a smaller community. So it ended up being easier ways to see each other, I guess. And so things just kind of kept going from there. I don't know how she remembers it, but that's how I remember it.
So I remember like FCA meetings, going there and seeing Scott a lot there my freshman year.
So when did it kind of turn into somebody more than just being friends and classmates and attending the FCA meetings?
Let's say spring of my freshman year. Is when we started dating. So I don't remember exactly. It seems to me like it was more over spring break when we were talking a lot more. I don't know. Do you remember what month our first date was?
No, I don't remember that. I mean, obviously Sara was, she was in the thick of basketball season. Obviously they get started in October, so you got kind of a small window there, early in the fall. And then, I was busy with baseball, and I don't really remember how everything, kind of kept going from there. I think it was probably more on and off with our schedules, to be honest. But yeah, we would continue to see each other here and there, and you know how it goes, man. One thing leads to another. And, I think that summer was probably, maybe the tipping point, if you will. Does it go one way or does it go the other? And then we got back there in that fall. I was sticking around as a GA, and Sara was still playing. So, I was busy, she was busy, but we still found a way to make time for each other.
So what did a typical date night look like in Bowie's Creek in the late 1990s?
I'd say our first date was in Cary. He took me to Chili's in Cary. And then we went to a movie in Cary, As Good as It Gets was the movie. And it was funny, we ran into one of his coaches at Chili's, didn't we? And so they talking.
Yeah, and thank goodness for Ashley, Sarah's older sister, because she had a place off campus where we could, be able to spend some time together before going back to the dorm. So I was one of those. I lived in the dorm quite a bit. Sarah's being a basketball player, that was part of her scholarship, was living, on campus. So Like I said, if you want to make it work, you find time, to spend with each other. And I think we did that. It wasn't perfect. It never is. And, that probably doesn't look like the perfect story, but it certainly is for us.
I'd say also by like my junior year, he was doing some work study, and he and Derek McLean would pick me up at lunch. And let's see, we might go to the Corner Burger, or we might go, what was the pizza place?
Papa's
Papa's
Pizza. Yeah.
Do we get a dip taco from Dairy Queen?
Yeah, from the Tasty Freeze, babe. You got to get that right. Yeah. Way better than Dairy Queen. Yeah.
So sometimes we had a little day dates like that because we didn't have time otherwise.
Yeah, no, Derek and I were working, I was his GA, so we would be working, cutting grass all morning, and then we would jump in that old Chevy, 1500 pickup truck, and we'd find Sara and grab her and take her to lunch. And, Derek's a big part of this too. I mean, he's still a good friend, and he was in my wedding, or our wedding, and, just Randy Hood as well, the people that made a big influence in my life there. And, they were gracious to, include Sara in a lot of it.
A fancy lunch would have been, was it called Main Street Cafe?
Yeah, down there in Lillington. That's right.
That was like fancy.
And it's amazing how the dining options have changed as the Raleigh urban sprawl has creeped southward now. The place doesn't feel or look the same, that's for sure. Sara, I'm going to ask you this one. What kind of, obstacles, I guess you could say, as y'all dated and Scott started working and got some coaching jobs, and the times to find together were tough. Well, what were some of the things y'all had to overcome to make this work?
Right. But Tim, going to Wofford while I was still in school, that was a long ways. He did have graduate school classes, so he would have to come back once a week or average. And so that was a good thing that we still had some time when he would get back for classes and stuff. But I remember him driving a lot. I think at this point, could you still go to the airport and see people there? I think I remember him coming to the airport and seeing me before we flew out for a game 2 times. So little things like that, just figuring out a way to see each other for 30 minutes, an hour.
Yeah, that my first coaching job was at Wofford, so I had one more grad class. I mean, quite honestly, that's probably the reason we're here today. Is Dr. Wallace's last grad class was on I want to say it was a Tuesday night. So I would have to, get out of practice and drive from Spartanburg, all the way to Campbell, and go to class. It was a 6 to 9 p.m. class, and you didn't miss Dr. Wallace's class. I mean, you had to be there, and attendance was important. And let's just say class lasted all through the 6 to 9 p.m. window. And so I would get out and we'd have some time together, but it was just that once a week thing that I think you can count on, for us to be able to just at least see each other and, slow down and get away from, for her basketball and for me coaching. And, I'd jump in the car and go back. And yeah, she's right. I mean, that was back before 9/11. So, you could, if the women's basketball team was connecting in Charlotte through, any trip down there in the old TAC, I guess it was, now the ASUN, if they were connecting and had a layover in Charlotte, certainly an easier drive for me if it fit my schedule from coaching to just go up there and, just sit there with her and her teammates and just hang out for a minute in the airport. Obviously we were trying to grab as much time as we could, being the distance between us. And like I said, if it wasn't for those things, we might not be sitting here on this call tonight.
Wow. Both of you answer this one in turn. How did you know that they were the one?
Go ahead, babe.
I can't really think about the exact moment, but I do remember like the spring of my freshman year, we really hadn't been dating very long. So I guess it was the end of the year where there was the athletic banquet, we would call it, I guess. And my mom came. I had been telling her, that I was kind of dating someone. And I remember the first call saying, "It's a little bit older," thinking she was going to, kind of be worried about that. But she wasn't. But then when she met him at the athletics banquet for the first time, she told me, "Oh, I really think this could be something really good, Sarah." And so I think that kind of got me maybe when I got me thinking. And then I would say by my sophomore year, we were pretty much stating like this could be really a long term.
Scott?
Yeah, I would. I mean, just to have somebody that sticks with you through the long distance thing, that supports your career. Obviously, she knew I wanted to coach, and I don't know. I mean, I knew two things. I knew how to cut grass, and I knew I liked baseball, and so you have to have somebody that's that I think honors that and upholds that and says, yeah, that's great. I'll do whatever it takes. This means a lot to me. And I think really that first year at Wofford, and again, going back to that time together in that fall of, I guess it was 1999, is really what, okay, you know what, this is meant to be. And this is somebody that's going to stick by my side no matter what. And it starts to kind of connect, and here we are.
So when did you guys tie the knot?
It was 01. So it wasn't long after Sara finished playing, and we got married in July 7th, 2001. So I guess what you finished, was that your senior year, babe?
Right. I finished in May. So we were planning the wedding at the end of my college. So that was kind of hard. Mom had to do a lot kind of planning for the wedding back home when I was at school, but we made it work. It was fun. We got engaged that December. So we were just engaged for like 6 months.
Yeah, we got engaged like right before she scored her 1,000th point down there at UNCW. And I just remember, I can't remember if it was Wanda or Mary that said, like, "Thank God you finally proposed to her and she could start playing better." It was like kind of a joke. And I think, everybody it was probably Coach Weiss, but we all knew, I think everybody knew we were serious. And so finally, I proposed to her, and then I think she had a really good game down at Wilmington that night, like 20 points or whatever, and scored her 1,000. So
yeah, I hadn't started off real good that year, and so that was what she was joking about.
yeah, it was my fault.
Having the ring every time I'm at a game and trying to figure out like a coach to take care of it because I didn't want to leave her alive. So that was something I remember about after we got engaged.
How big of a factor in the fact that you're both student athletes involved in athletics and understand the demands, how big of a factor of that was y'all being able to, give each other grace to know that you had time and you had to give time to other things other than just your relationship?
I think that's really big in college, and he'll probably talk about it more now that he's still coaching. But yeah, in college, I think if you weren't on the same page that way, it could be hard to understand really how much time goes into everything. It's not just a 2-hour practice. It's lots of hours a day. So I think we did have a good understanding of that. And even though it would be busy, my season would be ending and this would be just beginning in that first year. We knew that we just have to find more time in the summer or off seasons to do that. Have more like a more lengthy amount of time to hang out or whatever.
Yeah, I think it really helps. Just, I mean, you got to give each other space, right? I mean, like it's practice, and your day is going to class and going to practice. I think you got to know, you got to know when to call, and hey, how's it going? How was your day? And if it wasn't very good, or you lost, or bad practice, or tough practice, you just kind of, I guess, feel is the word, right? You got some feel for, what she's going through. And I think her the same way with me, when it's coaching, it's not just, going to practice, it's the hours in the office, it's the time, one-on-one with the kids. And so you just have that understanding of, hey, I know what you're going through, and, I get it, or, hey, I'm busy. And, when your fiance or your girlfriend's calling you and you don't answer, and or you answer and say, I'll call you back, I think they have a pretty good idea of exactly what's going on, from a coaching standpoint. And gosh knows it's been that way for the last, 23 years with 25 years with coaching with us. I mean, it's a 24/7 deal.
The only time I would ever call, like during a practice, was when I was pregnant. And then he would pick up the phone and be like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" So I was like, "Well, I'll answer when I'm pregnant and about to have a baby." But
Yeah, that's right.
otherwise, not to call at certain
I remember telling Coach Fox when we were at Chapel Hill, like, Coach, I have to bring my phone with me. I just want to let you know I'm going to have my phone with me today at practice. And if I'm on my phone, it's my wife calling because, she's due anytime. And that was with Tyler. So those are wonderful memories.
So you go from Bowie's Creek to Wilmington to Chapel Hill, now to Lynchburg. 2 teenage boys now. I understand they've got their mom's hoop skills.
Well, they do like basketball now and play basketball. I'd say when they were younger, they liked it, but I would kind of have to encourage them and say, "Oh, don't you want to play again this season?" Now our oldest is a junior, and he would tell you that basketball is his favorite. The youngest is not going to say basketball is his favorite, but he's doing really well for his middle school team. So we'll see if he keeps playing or not. But I think those games are fun. I love going to their basketball.
Well, Stan, I mean, you were around. I mean, Sarah's the best athlete in our family. So they've both gravitated towards, I think, a little bit of everything. Ryan, certainly has narrowed it to basketball. That's his passion. And then Tyler's, football, baseball, and basketball. So, we'll see where this goes. But, I mean, it's certainly been fun for us, as parents to sit back and watch them and, try to bite your tongue and cross your legs and fold your arms and let them go do their thing. But they're a blast, that's for sure.
Does being having experience as a student athlete growing up help you be a better parent of an athlete, and also having a background in coaching, knowing what their coaches are going through?
Yeah, no, there's no question about that. I mean, I think, I don't know that Sarah and I have ever spoken to a coach. We don't go to practices. We're there to celebrate, game day with them. We're there to pick them up from practice, but you know the space that an athlete needs, and I think an athlete needs that time with their coach. That's their time together in practice. That's where they earn their playing time, and you let it go, and thank goodness they've chosen to be athletes and continue to pursue that, because I think the life lessons in there are just, I mean, they're incredibly valuable, in so many areas. But yeah, I mean, I think it helps. I think, I mean, I wouldn't want to hear from parents. I don't want to hear from parents, whether it's at the college level or, even the middle school level. You want to trust your coaches and let them help raise your kids. And I think, we've done that for the most part. And our kids have been very fortunate to be around some really good, coaches with good values, and they've been able to instill those, with our guys. So we'll see. Some moments I wonder at home if we've done the right thing or their coaches have been good. But at the end of the day, man, they're good kids, and they know how to compete, and they know when to speak up and when to just, keep their mouths shut. So hopefully all this is going in the right direction. I'll check back in with you in about 10 or 15 years. We'll see where we're at.
Sarah, this is
really fun to watch them with their teams and remember all the fun times that you had with your teammates. So that's fun. And then I can also relate that it gets tiring. And by the end of that season, when you're trying to keep up with all your practices and your academics and stuff. So I think I still kind of remember how it felt to be a junior. Just, pretty tough. Middle school still kind of fun, but once you get up those higher years and high school, it does get a little bit stressful, but Ryan does a good job with it. He doesn't let it stress him out like it did me, and I love to see that. He still is pretty easy going, so that's good, I think.
So I'm sorry, Sarah, what does a typical home game weekends look like in the Jackson household with, especially during crossover season, 4 schedules to keep together. Tell me a little bit about what that's like, because I know where Scott's got to be at a certain time.
I will say it's definitely changed over the past few years as the boys have gotten busier with their sports. It used to be we were always at every game. At UNC, UNCW, we were up in the stands. Well, Ryan was little there, but we were there. And that baseball games are long with toddlers. So we stuck through it. There were fans that always were taking the boys and playing with them. And so I know some people at the Boschmer Stadium would say they just remember the boys being so little and running all over the place. Because we were there like every game, and we would try to go on a lot of the road trips too. Now that they're a little bit older, we have AAU basketball going on during spring for Ryan. Tyler would have his middle school baseball, and then sometimes travel baseball going on. So unfortunately, we haven't been able to get to quite as many games, but anytime there's not a conflict, we will definitely be there. And since we got to Liberty, one of the best things, for a while, they were both bad. And so that was always fun. I was actually sitting in the stands by myself for games, and they were down there kind of fun. And now Tyler still does the bat boy thing, is in the dugout all the time. So I'd say we're still all in, but we're not always able to go to every game. And now that we're Conference USA, there's some long travel that we definitely won't be able to make with our other schedules. So that's hard. I mean, I'm used to being there, but luckily we've got ESPN Plus a lot, and we can still keep up.
This one for both of you, you can take it in turns here, but what kind of relationship advice do you give to someone? What have you learned over the last quarter century or so?
Yeah. Holy cow. Well, I mean, it just takes a lot of sacrifice and give and take. I mean, her more than me. I mean, this first 23 years of our marriage, and then, 25, 26 years of our relationship has been, let's just be honest, right? It's been centered on baseball and, my career and moving around, and, you have to have kind of that trust and that faith in each other. Just to kind of piggyback on what Sara said, I mean, there's just not many wives that are going to bring 2 toddlers and sit through a, 3.5 hour baseball game and just be there to support you. And, I can't imagine what, what that took from a patient standpoint. She's got more patience than I do. And to have those kids up in the stands, but we're here to support Dad and his team. And, I think one of the best decisions we made was, Sara started to go on a lot of the road trips. And so when you have kids and you're in the ACC, when I was at UNC, you've got some road trips like Miami, Atlanta, Chicago, Boston, some really good trips. And Sara would get out of school and she'd take Friday off, and she'd lug them to RDU, and they'd find a way to go to, I don't know, whatever it was, the aquarium in Atlanta. She'd take them, downtown Boston on a duck boat, or she'd take them to, Lakeside Drive in Chicago and up to the Sears Tower. And, so baseball's been really good to us, but, it just takes a conscious effort. Like, this is about us, and this is about our family, and we're busy, but we're going to try to cling to those moments together. And I think that was one of the coolest things for me in my career, was them being young and Sara sacrificing to take them, because when you lose a game, and let's just be honest, it's hard, on Friday night, you lose that Friday night game 3-2, and it's a tough loss, and you're on the road at Miami or Georgia Tech, and, you come back to your hotel room and your family's there. I mean, it's pretty easy to forget about, what just happened on the field. So that helped me tremendously in my career. And, I'll let Sara speak, to the rest of it, but I just think it just takes a lot of give and take.
Sara?
I would say just to enjoy all the different stages. So when we were first married, we had tons of time together. Then you have kids and you think about what did we used to do, and everything gets really busy. And then with them being a baseball coach, moving around so much, I won't say that I didn't cry or get upset sometimes when we had to move, but once we got settled, I just really enjoyed everywhere we lived. It's been so different in so many ways, but there's been so many positives about every place that we've lived. So if you are moving around, just enjoying that time in that city and that part of life. I would say just to kind of take it as it comes, and then see the positives and things as you're moving or as things are changing. Like I'm already looking ahead to when Ryan goes off to college. That's going to be different, but I know there will be fun things about that as well, and it's fun watching the kids grow. So I just say take it as it goes, because it's going to change from the beginning of your relationship as you have kids and they get older. Just growing together is exciting, and you look back and think about all the fun times we've had. And so some of the trips you're talking about are definitely some of my favorite memories, and the kids too. I remember someone came up to me after a game one time and said, "You're so lucky. Your husband works all the time, but you get to enjoy his job." And I thought about that, because he said something like, "My dad was a businessman and he was gone all the time, but we never had we didn't enjoy his job." And so as a family, we definitely have enjoyed his job and all the fun things that come along with it.
Each episode, I wrap up with one question, because the primary theme of Tales from the Creek is visiting with people who've made this place special. And certainly Scott and Sara, you both have made Buies Creek special. The time you've been there and the memories that you've created for the others that are still around, or people that are all over the place. But finally, Sara and Scott, what do Buies Creek and the people there and the people that you've met there mean to you?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked that, because it's such a big part of us individually, but it's such a big part of our family. And so I'm very proud to be a Camel. Very proud of my 6 years there. I tell people all the time, they ask me about my time at Campbell, and I got 2 degrees and a wife from Buies Creek. I mean, I nailed it. I feel like, but you're right. I mean, the people there, I don't know, it's just different, man. I just remember, Sara played for Wanda Watkins. Wanda Watkins was my professor. She taught me in a coaching class. I think back on that and how cool that was. And, I just think about Donna Woolard and, the professors there that I just loved my time, just being able to do it on a daily basis. And then, the baseball piece of it too. I mean, it's just such a big part of who we are. I mean, God has a plan for you, right? And it's just hard to see that when you're young. And now I look back on it and I'm like, man, that was exactly where I was supposed to be, around the people I was supposed to be around. I met my wife there, and, the place has changed so much. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't say how proud I am to be a Campbell Baseball alum with the success that Justin's had there, and what that program has done. I mean, the pride that I have, it's different saying, yep, I played at Campbell now than it was, 10 or 15 years ago. And that's pretty cool. And I guess I'm stupid for continuing to schedule them, as the head coach at Liberty, because I've probably lost more than I've won against my alma mater, but it's just really cool to go back there. We're going to continue that. We get to go back to Buies Creek in 2025. And it's just every time I pull in there, you get that feeling back. And again, it doesn't look exactly the same, but at the same time, it looks the same, that everything's still there that we remember. And, just to have your kids in the car and drive around and say, hey, there's Strickland Hall. That's where I picked your mom up, for our first date. And I think that was it. Weren't you living in Strickland?
Yeah, but there's not a road in front of Strickland anymore.
Yeah, that road's not there anymore, so, there's those little things. But I mean, man, I could go on and on, but, I think it just boils down to the people that impacted our lives, in Bowie's Creek. And now, you're talking to a coach and a teacher that want to pass that on. And, if it wasn't for the people that influenced us there at that, pivotal time in our lives, we wouldn't be on the phone right now.
Sara, your thoughts?
I was just sitting here trying to think about how I would describe Bowie's Creek, and just the word home came to mind. Tyler had a tournament down there this summer, and so we drove around, and I mean, it's just everybody would have asked because they knew I had gotten there. Well, where do you go here? Where do you go here? And I was just telling them the different places around town, and it was just fun just to be back. It brought back a lot of memories. And then when we've been back for games, my mom and I were back for the floor dedication to Coach Watkins. And I mean, you just always see so many friendly faces. You get hugs after hugs with all the people that you played with, and even those you didn't play with. The one was just my sister Ashley played with. I mean, it's just one big family. So I just feel real comfortable and happy whenever I come back to Bowie's Creek, I would say.
We've been visiting with Scott Jackson, class of 98, and Sara Moore Jackson, class of 2001. Thank you, Scott and Sara, for sharing your tales from the creek.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Thanks, Dave. Go Camels.
Over the past 3 years, donations to the FCC have helped fund scholarships, facility enhancements, health and wellness improvements, and the greatest needs of the athletics department. The Fighting Camel Club empowers student athletes to lead with purpose on and off the field. With our move to the CAA, the need for your support has never been greater. Memberships begin at just $100 and can get you access to exclusive merchandise and seating. Head to GoCamels.com and hit the Give button.
Welcome, Ellen and Tony, to Tales from the Creek. Thanks for taking the time to join us. Well, let's start out at the beginning. Ellen, Tony, just share with us how y'all met.
Well, we met in the fall of '93. I was a sophomore, Ellen was freshman, and obviously both on the soccer teams. So we just, knocked around with us in the same circles, saw each other on campus a lot, and just became friendly, hanging out. Me with a bunch of the guy soccer players, and Ellen with the girls.
Yeah, and we, once we started hanging out more, I think we came back from the Christmas time, the Christmas break, yeah, and I think there was a gathering with all our friends. Everyone's back from the break, and I kind of looked at Tony differently. I think I was like, he's kind of cute, even though I'd known him all that time. And I think things kind of.
And I've been trying to flirt for a while, so I think she finally figured that out, maybe.
Yeah.
So was it a situation, Tony? You went home to England, and Ellen goes home to Virginia, and did absence truly make the heart grow fonder?
Something.
Yes, along those lines. It was definitely, we were hanging out quite a bit more, after the season in the fall, and then we went away for Christmas break, and then when we came back, I say we officially started dating on January the 14th, '94. So that was, we've been back to school a week, so it happened pretty quick once we got back. I think it did kind of happen for both of us.
Yeah.
The distance. It happened pretty quick once we got back after Christmas break.
Now, was there an official who asked who out or something first? Was there, or was it just kind of a common?
Well, it was more of a just hanging out together. But I'd say I did ask her out, or made
his move,
made my feelings known first. So, but we were hanging out more, and it was kind of getting obvious that we both kind of liked each other.
So share with us, what did a typical date night look like in Bowie's Creek circa 1994?
She's so good. It's so good thinking about that memory because we really had to make our own fun. There's, the campus had, I think between the library, hanging out at the student center, playing ping pong. Seriously, we would like make our fun wherever we could. Just even just walking the campus, like we really did just.
Yeah, just hanging out a lot. But neither of us had a car.
That could have been part of the why we were.
So we did occasionally borrow kind, like going to Dunn and stuff to restaurants. But then like the big date night was usually like dinner and a movie and a rally, going to rally.
Oh yeah, that's a big night.
So thanks for the friends out there that would lend us their car every once in a while. So we'd go to a rally, which was an experience in itself because I don't know why, but I took it upon myself to drive. I mean, I did have a international license, but we laughed because at least on 3 occasions we ended up on the wrong side of the road. Out. It wasn't as dangerous as it sounds because it was always at like a traffic light when there was no other cars around. So I just wasn't following any of the cars, and then all of a sudden I'd be on the left-hand side of the road. Like
there was a really big bus.
There was one time we came to this with a rally bus.
Yeah.
And we just both kind of sat there looking at each other for a couple of minutes. I was like, what do I do? And then I just had to reverse.
It was awesome.
But it happened a couple of times.
But like with most catastrophic potentially moments, we were laughing through it all. And like when I think about like our first date, we were talking about it earlier, just thinking of memories. And our first date was Philadelphia and O'Charlie's.
Yeah, we went for a meal at O'Charlie's, and then, we went into rally. We didn't know what movies were really playing, and then Philadelphia with Tom Hanks, the pretty heavy HIV.
Amazing, but it was
as a first date movie.
But it was heavy, but it was incredible. But anyway, so yeah, I think that was the night of the bus too. But
could have been.
Ellen, was that the first time you saw Tony cry?
Yeah, yeah, one of many times.
First time you saw him sweat.
But another, swearing, crying. It was very eventful night.
So, as student athletes, obviously your time is spoken for a lot, and so what kind of, I don't know if it's challenge is the right word, but what kind of obstacles did y'all face with making time to be together, or was it just something that kind of came naturally for y'all?
I feel like it came pretty naturally overall. I mean, one of my earliest memories, we did seem to spend a lot of time, studying in the library, which isn't really something, traditionally at start of a new relationship you're doing. But we did study a lot together, and
or maybe I just wanted to hang out with you, so I was going to the library. Could have been
that as well. So setting up our first email addresses.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, no, we would, after, I think the majority of our time where we could go experience more things together was after season, that's just how you had to kind of navigate that. But
which is what happened in that first fall season, even though we weren't officially dating. That's when, after the season's finished, that's when we started hanging out a lot more and where things progressed. But yeah, looking back, I don't feel like it was huge challenge. It just did kind of come naturally. I mean, you're in class all day, then practice, and then after dinner.
Yeah, you'd meet up for dinner.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yes. The
romantic evening at Marshbanks, yeah?
I mean,
exactly, yeah.
Exactly. You just sum that up. For if you know, you know.
Yes, yeah, we both finished practice at the same time. So all athletes would end up going to Marshbanks at the same time. So I say we're all on the same, run around with the same crews.
Yep.
So
and that and I feel like that talking point or question is, a lot, you look at it a lot different after you've juggled work and 2 kids you got 4 schedules in the home, and it seems everything seems so much simpler back then, doesn't it? And comparatively now.
That's true. I would say that one of the things that I think makes all these years we've been together, so kind of special looking back, is that we still are just really good friends. And so we always make time for the things that we enjoy. So we love our kids. We prioritize them, of course, and work and all this. But we always want to make sure we're doing things that we have fun and enjoy together. And that's just, both of us have valued that. So that's kind of a...
We've always had the same interests. Sports is a big part, and we love watching sports together and going to sporting events. Music, one of our favorite things now is going to concerts, and we did some of that back then. So yeah, it's just those shared interests being a big part of it.
What are some of the concerts you saw back then, and what have you seen lately?
Oh goodness, back then. You have to say who you saw it.
My official first concert, although you weren't that one, was at Campbell, was when Weird Al came. Weird Al Yankovic. So I claim that it's not my first concert.
No, it's his first. My first concert may have been Joshua Tree Tour, U2, but his was Weird Al, and I think he wins.
Well, I'll put this one on you. Fall of 1986, after Claudia and I met, our first official date was an REM show at UNC Wilmington, and that's we still have the ticket stub, which you don't have.
Boys.
Back then though, I mean, you think about the music in the 90s, like everything from, REM would have been high school for me, but like just, I can't even think of the.
Yeah, we really not, once we got to Atlanta gets a lot of, so we really stepped it up. In Atlanta.
But who did we see recently that would have been a throwback? We were Garbage. Sounded fantastic. Well, whatever. But it's like we really just try and make an effort to do the things that we enjoy, kind of together. And it's like, yeah, you put the kids first, and they take up a lot of your energy and focus. But it's like they're going to be leaving us soon, and we're going to have an empty house. So we need to still have some fun together.
Absolutely. I'll look for both of y'all's answer on this next one, but when did you know that he or she was the one?
So I would say I knew pretty early on. I was so smitten. Like it was like the switch flip, and I think I said, I love you first. Like that was, yeah, I did. And I think you said, thank you. I don't think you responded great.
I was polite.
It's okay. You were polite. I think I threw you, but that's okay. Cause I was like, he's going to be this way. It's fine. But what I would say is that, just how much he made me laugh. Like he's got this sense of, he's quite cynical, but he's very fun loving. So there's lots of just mix with him where I'm just always laughing, and how easygoing he can be when, in regards to like just the things that are really hard. Like he's always kind of centers me. So I'm,
yeah,
it was a good
it was basically by spring break of 94. I think that's when you said your words.
And so that's a great example of where I overshare, and then he just sums it up and says, this is what we're talking about right here.
And then the following summer of 94, I was mainly Bowie's Creek doing the camps, and World Cup 94 was going on, and Ellen went out to Wyoming to work on a dude ranch for the summer.
As you do.
3 months. And that was, we both went through great efforts to stay in touch. We were writing letters all the time back then. There wasn't any Facebook.
He wrote me a letter every day. Just like every day. And because of where we were located, I would receive like 5 letters at a time. And what would be the equivalent of like a Netflix like binge, I was sitting in my little room where I was being housed, and which sounds horrible the way I just said that. But I would just read all these letters, and it was just adorable. And yeah, he kept that going for sure.
Yeah. It was like going back to long distance again after dating all spring semester. Then it seemed pretty obvious then.
And he got on a Greyhound bus and came and visited me in Virginia.
I didn't go out to Wyoming.
No, he didn't go out to Wyoming. That would, yeah. By the way, don't ever go on a Greyhound bus out to Wyoming. But what I would say is that, when he came to visit my family, which is the exact opposite of his family, like my family was loud, chaotic, like my family came from like kind of divorced, and his family's parents are still together. They celebrated 50 years. Like we couldn't be more opposite. And he just rolled with it. And it was just, of course, my family loved him immediately. I need to ask your mom again how my first impression was. I'm sure I threw them both for a loop, but yeah.
Tony, you wanna fill us in on that? The first time Ellen met your folks?
Oh my God.
That's a little side story. It's a little funny. My mom especially is mortified because, we probably flew into Manchester Airport, and there was a group of us. There was me, Nick, Ray. I think Andy Richards came back that Christmas. So they put together a little minibus to pick us up, so bring us all back to Middlesbrough area, and my mum and dad waiting for us, and either we were running late or running early, I can't remember, but they nipped out to the store to pick up some stuff, and we arrived at my house while they were gone. They nipped out for 10 minutes, and so the house was locked up, and so we had to go in the garage. The garage was open, so we went in the garage and just hanging out in the garage. I was playing darts. It was cold. But they were mortified that they weren't home when we arrived, and that Ellen was stuck in the garage for 10 minutes.
They'd obviously never been to Bowie's Creek for a social gathering that was out in the country or a bonfire.
Yeah,
somewhere.
If you're not out on a bonfire at Bowie's Creek, you're not living.
Yeah. So, but no, they love Ellen, and she made a good first impression.
So when did you guys get married? Was it pretty soon after graduation?
Yeah. So I stayed on and did my master's, my MBA, and so we left Bowie's Creek in June of '98, and we got married in July of '99. So we moved straight to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got married up in Afton Mountain, Virginia, near Charlottesville, where Ellen's mum was. And yeah, July of '99, and quite possibly the hottest day in the world.
100% the hottest day of the world. But what's interesting though is that when we'd been dating for, I guess, all through college, those times apart and everything, and then when we decided, hey, let's go down to Atlanta, let's see what's next after school. We're looking for a bigger city, and all of these
Think a little bigger than
a little bigger, yeah. And I knew
wasn't too many.
Tony was trying to figure out what he wanted to do, and I knew what I wanted to do. I was going into a program called AmeriCorps, and so we just had enough of an anchor to like get down here. And he had a 1-year student visa, and after school, and when that visa was running up, that means he has to leave the country, and so we are evaluating.
Either get sponsored through work
or
the only option. Right?
Yeah, and so we were at that point, and we just went back and forth. And should we get married? Do we go home? How do we figure this out? And we're just enjoying life in Atlanta so much. And as we're just hemming and hawing and trying to figure this out, very unromantic. Our family is like, "Oh, come on! Like you guys clearly are on a path. We've been together for 5 years, and we were very happy together, and still kind of exploring all that." But it just wasn't on our terms, and so we just were like feeling a little like backed into that, and we ended up getting married we had to get married by that summer. So it was just I think the what do you call it when you go and do the immigration lawyer, or not the lawyer, but who do you go and you talk to get the green card and get make it all legal. And it was so stressful, but it was just really not stressful at all. And it was, here we are 29, 8 years later. I don't know. Too many years.
So tell me, Bowie's Creek to Atlanta. Now, I did it the opposite way. I lived in Atlanta during middle school, and then Raleigh, and then down to Bowie's Creek, and have been here all but 2 years.
What part of Atlanta were you in?
We were in between Buckhead and Sandy Springs, right off of Roswell Road. Yeah.
We are. That's where we live, yeah.
Yeah. And I went to Sandy Springs Middle School and then Ridgeview High School, which does not exist anymore because Georgia 400 went right through that.
All right. Yeah,
So-
Ridgeview Middle School's about a mile from us.
Yeah, we were I was near Chastain Park, about a mile from there.
Yeah.
And and apparently that's a big concert site now, which I'm sure if we were there, we would be there.
I just bought tickets.
To another show. Yeah, exactly.
So what show? Who are you going to see? Who are you going to see this time?
Pixies and Modest Mouse.
Oh, good choice there. Good choice there.
Oh.
So you moved to Atlanta. Ellen, you go to work with AmeriCorps. Tony, where did your your professional, both of your professional arcs take y'all?
Yeah, well, as Ellen said, I didn't really know where I wanted to do. I mean, I'd left with my MBA. So just through a couple of, people I knew, and I ended up working in advertising.
Mhm.
So I started off at an out-of-home advertising agency, and then I moved into print. Worked on the Home Depot accounts, which is they're based here in Atlanta. And then I moved to a small agency that specialized in print, but now obviously we do digital and everything else. But I'm coming up to 20 years there this summer. So yeah, I've always just been in advertising.
Ellen, tell me about what you've been up to.
I would say kind of zigzaggy, but I think the core of what I have always been interested in is around partnerships. And so what came out of the nonprofit community building side of it was, I then flipped over to the corporate side, but still, really trying to figure out it's marketing, but it's really trying to kind of grow. I feel like I'm selling myself here. So you're going to edit all of this, but basically for what the course of my career has been around marketing, and I worked for a restaurant group, and then now I work for a restaurant tech company. But both Tony and I worked for before COVID, like long stretches for the companies we worked for. So we're quite loyal people now that I'm thinking about in terms of
The fun part that Ellen's not mentioned about her career was when we moved here. There's a big British community in Atlanta, which helped hugely. I found a soccer team to play on, and then we had local pub, actually an Irish pub, but all the Brits are there. And after kids, Ellen got a marketing job at Fedora, our local Irish pub. She worked there for like 11 years, so that was.
I did say we joke about it, but I said y'all need me. I get this. This is something. This is something I'm quite familiar with. But it's when it comes to like the work that we do and the people that we've met here in Atlanta, and even though our families are in Virginia and in England, it's like this community here that are the expat community and the transits. Quite remarkable.
Another fun story is we moved here, I said, at the end of June in '98 to Atlanta, and World Cup '98 was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the only person we knew here, I think you know him, Stan, was Steve Payne.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, so our first full day in Atlanta, Steve took me, we went to watch England versus Argentina in the World Cup. And I met so many Brits, English lads that day. A lot of them I'm still, friends with now, played football with them. So there's a lot of guys here I've known the full 25 years that we've been in Atlanta.
So what's it like, Tony? I can't imagine. Claudia's folks were from down near the coast and moved up here when they had grandkids. My folks are still in Raleigh. What's it like being an ocean away from your family, or did being in school here help prepare you for that, or did you think you would settle here?
Yeah, I really don't know. When I first came over, I didn't know what my plans were. I had no idea really. So, but yeah, it became pretty apparent, as we finished up Campbell, that I wanted to stay over here. Obviously, in no small part because of Alan. And so I've loved my time over here, and I've gone back. We go back quite often, especially when the kids were little. We'd go back once or twice a year, when flights were a lot more reasonable. But and my parents have been great. They came over and visited all the time. They came to Bowie's Creek probably 4 or 5 times.
I just want to say the effort his parents have put into coming over here. Like, they know people in like local stores more than we know them. Like, that's how much when they would come over and they would stay. And there's like, I know there's things I could probably recall, but it's just like there's that effort that you have to put into it. That is
there's effort, and so as your question, what's it like living? So it's been great, and but it is getting a bit tougher now as you get older. Parents get older,
Right.
So they can't travel as much. It's more of an effort for them. So that is getting a bit tougher. But say during the early years and the kids growing up, it didn't really seem like that much of an issue, because they would my parents would come over for a month at a time as well. They'd come twice a year for a month at a time. So it was great. But yeah, so it's I sometimes think I wonder if they ever move back, but I don't think that's ever going to be an option at this point. The kids going to be based here, and so it's just what life is. It's what I've been used to.
So your oldest is 20 now. Just dial us back a few years here. What did a typical day look like in the Peacock household with 2 active boys coming up in as well?
It really was at one good long stretch, just driving them places, and just trying to figure out what exactly. Nothing new or interesting to share there. But, I think now, like when they get to that point where they can drive themselves and they've got their own interests and they frankly don't want to hang out with you as much. It's one of these things where you go, okay, well, what are we going to do that's fun? And where are we going to have some good times together and kind of keep life interesting. So
yeah, but no, back to the day with the typical day. Yeah, it was just getting. They both played soccer, from 5-6-year-old. So it was getting them around everywhere between work. Wasn't so much working from home back then, so made it a bit trickier. But no, I loved it. They played basketball as well. So it was just hectic, but it was fun. It obviously goes way too quickly.
I think the main
thing,
it is wrapping up. And, the one thing that we always say, the kids aren't really interested in playing in college. That was never something. They didn't have that kind of like extra whatever that tells kids into that. But what I do see that sports provides them is just this social connection, which is what Tony was referring to earlier around, you move to a city and it's like, you don't know really anyone. And it's like, okay, let me find a team. Let me get started here. And I think that those kinds of things, I think they see that. And I think that's just a really cool thing that sports provides any person, so pretty cool.
The state of Georgia, right next door to Alabama and right above Florida, known for a different kind of football. Tone. Did the boys ever dabble in the American pointed football at all?
Never played. No interest. But Henry likes it. The younger likes to watch it. He's got friends that are football players that play in school, and so he's got a real interest. I don't even think Owen really is.
No, I got into it. I got into it big time. I mean, when I was up in North Carolina, I got big into basketball. College basketball obviously is huge up there. And then moving down to Atlanta, SEC country, I quickly got immersed in the college football and then the NFL as well a bit with the. But
there's not many sports you're not like gonna.
Oh, that's true. It's fun going to games and go and hang out outside the stadiums and stuff. So
off topic and off camera sometime, remind me to share with you the time I took Derek Leeson to a Durham Bulls baseball game and how he was not impressed. American baseball in his manner that he as he would speak it.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
It's evident, Ellen and Tony, that you enjoy each other's company, and you always have. What kind of advice would you give someone if they're asking you what is it that's special about your relationship? What kind of advice would you give to someone that would like to be best friends with their mate?
What you got, Tony?
Oh, you're the one full of advice.
Am I? Okay, so this is where.
I would just say, enjoy your time. Don't take things too seriously.
That's fair.
Yeah, you gotta let things roll off your back sometimes. But yeah, just enjoy yourselves, and obviously, that's what's helped us, having the same interests and enjoying going and doing the same things, and just having the same values. But I just don't. For me, it just don't get too upset, don't get too angry.
That's great. That's him. I think he's like self-soothing right now. He's like. One of the things that I think we have done pretty well is figuring out, I'm saying too much, but the parts that are important to pay attention to and to communicate and to be able to take seriously and go, this is a serious situation. We should talk about it. We should figure it out. We do that. And then when we are irritated because we've had a long day, and you kind of put those moments in a box, and you say this isn't something that you need to labor on too much. I think figuring that out earlier than later is important. So we have this whole little thing that's worked well for us where we reset. And we reset and we say, and Tony is so good about just inserting humor right when I want to strangle him, and then I can't keep arguing. So I think that's just really important. When he was talking about just not taking yourselves too seriously, it's where are those arguments that you're just tired, just whatever. And so that's a really important element over the years. But we're not the same people we were when we were 18, 19, 30, 40. Gosh, we're that old now. So I think really being able to say, who you are individually is just a really important part of being your best self, and contributing to as a couple, right? So so I think Tony would never speak to this, but I would say it's really important to me that he's a partner. He's not the person that you need, that you have to, be, that's going to fulfill you as a person. And I think that's an important element to it. But that's just me. Tony would never say that. So as he shakes his head and says, oh, Lord, here she goes. But it's an important part of it that I think allows us to have some fun too.
I have an aunt who always says the most important thing about your marriage is making sure you marry the right person. And it's evident that the two of y'all hit that one out of the park in so many words. Ellen and Tony, when you look back about your time in Bowie's Creek, what does that place mean to you? And Campbell University and all that. What is
it means a lot. It was such. I didn't know what to expect, coming over. I'd never been. I just turned 18. I always joke, the big TV shows in the UK back then were Beverly Hills 90210 and Baywatch. So I thought it was going to be some type of mix of that coming to Bowie's Creek, which it's arguable. But I had a great time there. And I love going back. I really like going back to visit. I wish I could do it a bit more often. The last time I was back was you started fall of 22. That was my 30-year anniversary of coming over, and we were paying our respects to Marco. I love going back, and the people we met, still so many great friends that we keep in touch with, meet up all the time, and like any good friends, even if you haven't seen them for a while. It's so easy just to fall back into the way things were.
Where you left off, yeah.
Yeah, but I do enjoy going back, and it's amazing seeing all the changes as well. But I do like the memories. You know, it was such a different place for me coming from England. It was just everything was different. I say Ellen, like just even the smells, just the you know, the weather, and just everything was so different. It was
Hot.
it was hot. It would get cold. It would get cool as well though. But it was just kind of literally a different world for me. So it was it really left a lot of
It's a big
memories and impressions with
Yeah.
me, you know. So
It's interesting to hear you talk about it from that perspective of just the kind of the culture shock. But I think, you know, as I had no idea what I wanted to do and, you know, what college meant. And I still feel this way, and I speak to my kids about it. Like, college is such an opportunity where you're just really just figuring out who you are and what that's gonna mean, you know, just as you're discovering yourself and you're making, you know, missteps and doing things well or whatever. And I think when I look back on the, you know, yeah, again, our friends that were so important to us and all those memories, but so much of it was just the newness and just, you know, the downtime that you had when you were, just kind of exploring. Like, I'm trying to find a way to articulate boredom, because just the internet and the stimulation that we have now versus then, like, there was so much downtime that is just, I don't even know how to speak to that to our kids.
you're meant to be doing your homework.
Yeah, I probably should have been studying more. I was never known for my my study habits, but I would say that, like, I try to say that to our kids a lot, like, just this period of figuring out who you are. It's like you're with all these people that are doing the same thing, you know, and so yeah, that's why I think it's so remarkable to all of us when we look back on that period, you know.
Well, I like to tell people that Bowie's Creek is the crossroads of the world, and the two of you are certainly feeding into that statement. Middlesbrough, England, Norfolk, Virginia, meet in Bowie's Creek, and now have built a life for you and your family in Atlanta. We've been visiting with Tony and Ellen Price Peacock, class of 96 and 97. Thank you, Tony and Ellen, for sharing your tales from the creek.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's so good to be with you again. It's been a long time.